back. You're listening to Houston Real Estate Radio, and we are happy to be live remote broadcasting today at the 8th Annual CyFair Home and Garden Show. Come on out to the Berry Center. There's free parking. It's a great weekend to come see what's new for your home. Check out what kind of renovations you can do. You can stop by our Houston Real Estate Radio booth. We're right at the entrance, and you can get a free home value of your current home, which is great when you're making the decision on whether you should put in that pool, whether you should do that new landscaping, whether you should make that renovation, or whether it's time to sell and buy something else. So we've got lots of realtors here from Register Real Estate Advisors to help you with that. The line is almost to the door here, people trying to come in and see what's going on, what's new, what's happening. And the Berry Center is such a great location. Come on by, see what's happening, because it's a great show. This segment, I have on Lisa Giesler. And Lisa is here speaking. She's actually going to be speaking at 12:30 today and also at 2:30. And she's going to be talking about organizing your life. Lots of things to discuss with Lisa today, because we all tend to have some kind of organizational issues, right, Lisa?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever met anybody who had their life completely, perfectly organized?
No, not at all.
What about you? Are you there yet?
I could be there if I was married to someone who was there. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, organization is one of those things, we all know we need to do it, and especially when we move, because nobody wants to see your clutter and your junk. But it's one of those things that's hard to do. It's hard to part with things, because you always think, oh, well, I paid too much for it. I could save it and use it later. And it's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of work going through it. What do I throw away? What do I box up? What do I save? It's a lot of work.
Absolutely. So actually, there's kind of a twofold thing that happens, whether you're going to a larger home or whether you're going to a smaller home. So we'll just pretend like you're going to a larger home. Because theoretically, you think you know what's in all those closets, but you really don't. And so usually what I recommend is you go through every closet, every cabinet, and kind of put things in order and group things. But in the meantime, it is making peace with saying, why am I keeping this? Really, 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 why am I keeping this? And sometimes it helps to have somebody with you. Someone like an organizer, obviously, you know, we have no attachment to that pair of blue jeans that you happen to have been wearing when you met your first husband.
You know, one thing that I come across a lot in my kitchen cabinets is I will find something and it doesn't have a lid, and I'm torn. Do I throw it away or do I wait? Because that lid's going to turn up as soon as I put it in the trash can.
You know, it's funny. I actually have a little container. It's kind of like the lost sock container, but it's the lost lid container. And I have that in a plastic bin in the back of the cabinet, so just in case, I do save some. I really do, just like lost socks.
We have the lost socks bin at our house, and we also have the lost puzzle pieces, because it never fails. You know, the kids pack up their puzzles, and there's a piece found. You know, when you're vacuuming, or you know, you find a piece, and so we have the lost puzzle pieces. But you know, it's hard to keep everything organized without buying a ton of storage containers. It's very hard to keep everything organized, especially with kids.
Exactly. One of the things I found with children, and some parents don't think about, is creating those areas for, this is the toy area. When the children are in school, they know that when they transition from math to reading, they put away all their math. And sometimes mommies and daddies don't always realize that before they transition to another toy, they should go ahead and put that toy away. The other thing, too, is that toys are in the kitchen, they're in the living room, they're in their bedroom, they're everywhere. And I really recommend to try to keep it just maybe in 2 areas, because same thing goes. And then that way you have those cute little Ottomans. Ottomans are precious. They got the lid on them, and you can throw stuff in it, and nobody knows it's there.
Yeah, I love those. And, you know, toys was pretty easy for me, keeping toys in certain areas. But what I find is difficult now is that I have one son who's a reader, and he has books in every room, and he wants to take his books with him and put them in the car, and they just get strode everywhere. And I'm torn, because do you discourage reading by saying no books in the kitchen, or do you just let it be thrown around? So,
it's funny with traveling, just like we have a bag, and you have the big bag, you have the small purse. Same thing with children. I have mommies who take those little special bags. They could be the grocery sacks or a special little bag, and they put books and toys in them. It's what they use to travel. And when they come home, just like when they come home from any trip, they have to unpack.
Very good if you can teach a boy to unpack. All right, so you've got a book out. Tell us about the book that you have out.
Well, the first book I have out is called My Life is a Mess, Organizing 101. And it's just kind of basic organizing tips, which we really enjoyed it. It won a Time Management Award. Yeah, I was excited about that. Good. The second book's going to be coming out in a couple of days. It's called Uncluttered, Discovering Strength and Purpose in the Chaos of Life. It's a little bit different. What I found in the many years of organizing is that people keep things and do things for a reason. And just through that process of discovery, once they realize, and it might have been a trauma, it just might have been how they were raised, and even in my own journey. So the book is more like a memoir with my client stories intermingled with it. So we're pretty excited about that. It's really been an eye-opener to help people in their organization.
You know, I've found with home staging is very easy for me because I can stage the rooms for a buyer to sell. But when it comes to my house, it's harder because I have certain things that I'm attached to that I want to use that don't match anything else in the room, right? But I still want it there. And so, you know, the way you live is very different than the way you stage your home to sell it.
Absolutely.
Very, very different. And I think that that's very important for sellers because, you know, we're coming up on spring. A lot of people are going to want to get ready to sell their home.
Right.
And so they have to, even though they're attached to those things, you know, the crosses on the walls and the, you know, all the memorabilia and the photos of the family and all of those things, it's not what the buyers want to see. You have to pack it up and part with it and be ready to part with that house and know that, you know, you have to be ready to move out of that house when you're trying to sell it.
I'm so glad you're talking about that. What people don't realize, and you're right, you're absolutely right. I'm actually working with some families right now in that process. And so one thing that happens is you also have to stage the closets because some families think, well, if they pull everything off the walls, out of the, you know, they just shove it in the closet. But when the new home buyer, potential home buyer comes by, they're not wanting to see that either. So what I recommend is you have to put things in categories. And I mean, you're moving anyway, put it into a storage. So whether it's those memorabilia, but it's also the moment to say, am I ready to sell some of this stuff or am I ready to donate? People don't realize that by donating, you can make more money donating to a nonprofit like the women's shelter than if you were to try to get a couple of dollars at a yard sale. People feel better about knowing they're donating it. Also, they want to consider how much of their stuff they're going to keep. I have a memorabilia bucket in my attic. It's pink. Pink is for girls. So you have my great-grandmother, a couple of things, my grandmother, my mother, and some of my baby clothes. It's just helping people to work through how many memories do you have to keep.
Yeah, and I love now that we have such great technology, we can take photos of things. So like my kids' art projects, you know, you feel terrible putting those in the trash, but now you can take a picture of it, have it forever, and then throw away the actual project.
Well, actually, I got one for you on that one. Okay, well, first of all, we have to be careful even with the photographing and the scanning it, because if you have too many of it, you look at that and you don't even keep track of it online. It becomes a whole nother clutter. But I used to teach my sons, and someone taught me, which is every week you're only saving 2 or 3 pieces of paper, and then by the end of the quarter, you only save a few of those. And so then in the school year, you should only theoretically have 6 pieces of paper.
Oh, I'm in big trouble.
I know. I mean, how many times do we have to know that they could do the letter R? Now, I don't recommend anybody just throwing things away. It's called the special black filing bag that goes to the street twice a week. And it's only done while the children are sleeping in school because it could be traumatic.
Yes, yes. I understand that. Because sometimes you have to stage the trash can. You put the stuff in that you want to throw away, and then you put stuff over it so nobody knows what was thrown away.
You know, that's funny. I have some women, and I actually take their recycle and donation away so husbands and children
don't see it. All right, real quickly for people downsizing, what do you recommend in the way of selling things? What's the best way to sell stuff if they have furniture they need to get rid of?
Okay, one thing is contacting maybe an estate sale person. If you have some things of value, there are people who are willing to come in and take what you have. If you just have a lot of just kind of mismatched stuff, just go ahead and find out the neighborhood regulations and have that sale. Pre-box everything, label it, for sale, and that way it doesn't get confused.
Okay, you are speaking, Lisa Giesler is speaking today at the Berry Center at the 8th Annual CyFair Home and Garden Show at 12:30 and 2:30. So come on out today and see her. I'm also going to be speaking at 1:30 on the CyFair area master plan communities and the amenities that they have. So come out and join us. We're out at the Berry Center, free parking. We'll be right back here on Houston Real Estate Radio.
People often find themselves in need of storage and moving, but don't want the hassle and stress. Sound familiar? Well, at Zippy Shell, we make storage and moving easy. Zippy Shell will deliver a storage container to your home or business. You load it at your leisure, and we'll take it to one of our safe, convenient storage facilities, or ship it to your final destination. We treat your stuff like it's our stuff, because we understand you're not just giving us your belongings, you're giving us your trust. Zippy Shell, storage and moving that makes life simple.